Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining yet another LeadSquared webinar, and thank you so much for patiently waiting at our waiting room as well. Well, we're here now. My name is Karthika, and I'm from LeadSquared's marketing team, and I will be your host for the day. So today we'll be discussing a very important topic, which is delivering smart customer-centric experiences, the key to scaling revenue. So let me quickly introduce our wonderful panel of speakers today. We have Mr. Tadiso here. Unfortunately, I don't see him on the stage right now. I'm sure he will come back very soon. Mr. Tadiso is the e-business lead at Nestle Baby and Me. Very glad to have him on our panel. We also have Mr. Shashi Bhushan here, who is the Director of Business Operations of Africa at Gupshup. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Shashi. Joining us from Lead Squared, we have Ms. Chantel Fraser, who is the Vice President of Sales at our Africa division. Thank you so much for joining us, Chantel. Glad to have you at yet another webinar of ours. Always wonderful hosting you. And last but not the least, I would like to invite our moderator of the session. We have Mr. Vishal Suri, who is the Associate Director of Strategic Partnerships here at Lead Square. I know that everyone's extremely excited to, get to our session. But before that, I have a few pointers to our audience. So if you look towards the right side corner of your screen, you'll have a few options. The first one being polls. So this is where we'll be asking a couple of polls to you during the session. Please to respond to them. The second one is questions. So if you have any questions throughout the session, please do put them up over there, and our experts will take them up probably towards the end of the session. So we will have a live questionnaire, and the chat option is, of course, where we will be networking with everyone. So to start with, please let us know where all of you are joining us today from, and we'd love to engage with you. With that, I think I will hand the session over to Vishal. Thank you so much once again for joining us, everyone. Over to you, Vishal.
Thank you, Kartika, for having me on the webinar, and thank you for setting the context. Uh, I'll just quickly give some background to the audience. So we will be discussing about businesses that are delivering customer-centric experiences like Gupshup and LeadSquared, and we will also be speaking about how businesses such as Nestle Baby and Me are achieving that customer-centric outcomes, and essentially what are the end outcomes that they are achieving via the customer-centric tools that they are utilizing. I have prepared a set of my questions, and I wanted to start with Tidiso. Kartika, do we have him on stage, or should I, start my interaction with Shashi?
I think we can start with Mr. Shashi, Vishal, and we shall get Mr. Tediso as soon as possible. Yeah.
Sure, then I'll start with Shashi. Shashi, I have a question for you. So we are seeing a shift from customer experience to smart customer experience, right? That shift has been quite evident in the recent months. So I want to understand from you, what does smart customer experience entail, and how does this change the game, if at all?
Right. Thanks, Vishal. Thanks for the question, and good afternoon, everyone. Uh, my name is Shashi Bhushan. I'm from Gupshup. To your question, Vishal, I think the biggest and the most evident change that we've seen in the recent years uh, is is in the approach of the customer. Customer is attaching a lot more importance to the customer experience. So much so that we can say today that for the customer, brand experience is more important than the brand itself. That the shopping experience is more important than shopping. So they attach a lot of importance to the customer experience, and therefore it becomes pretty much imminent for the brands and for the businesses to communicate, to the customer in that fashion. To the question of what differentiates smart CX from CX, I think there are three major differentiators. One is interactivity, responsiveness, and personalization. For as long as we know historically, most brand to customer communications have been broadcasting in nature. Whether we look at print media, we look at television, we look at billboards, we look at radio, everything has been broadcasting, which is like a general communication for everyone. Whether you are a working class, homemaker, child, school going, Same communication for everyone. I mean, today's customer doesn't accept. Customer wants, number one, the customer doesn't want broadcast. Customer wants conversation. You talk to me, I talk to you. You communicate with me, you should also listen to me, listen from me. So they want conversation. They prefer conversation. And today's customer does not have the patience to call a helpline. So there are also occasions where the customer needs to reach out to the brand, and customer doesn't want to wait in the IBR queue waiting for the agent to attend the call or send an email to business and then wait for 2 working days before somebody responds to that email. The customer wants the communication, the CX to be very, very responsive. And third, like I said, customer wants it very personalized. Customer wants to choose the device. Customer wants to use the channel. Customer wants to choose the language of the preference. Right? And I think it is almost very critical for businesses to understand that the B2C communications have to be driven by the golden rule of marketing. That we've known for many years is that you have to engage the customer where they are. And where is the customer? We're talking to people in Africa, right? And Africa is essentially a mobile first market. The primary device of communication for most people in Africa is their mobile. Unlike some of the developed Western economies where they use their personal computer, in Africa most people generally use mobile phone as their primary device. Okay. So where is this customer? The customer prefers mobile device as the preferred device. That's almost the dictate is out. The customer chooses IP messaging apps like WhatsApp, right? And therefore, if you see of the total smartphone users in Africa, a very high 90%, like 95% and above, do have WhatsApp as the primary app. Right? And because that's the app they use for person-to-person communication, they also want the brand-to-customer communication on those channels. So I think to conclude, smart CX essentially is the brands realizing where they want to meet the customer, how they want to meet the customer, and like I just to summarize, I would say those three golden words: interactivity, responsiveness, and personalization.
Got it, Shashi. So, in a nutshell, customer experience is now moving from a broadcast to a more interactive way of customer engagement. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
interesting, Shashi. My next question is for Chantel. Chantel, you deal with customers daily, right? So, what are the biggest mistakes that companies do to hamper customer experiences?
Yeah, so Shashi, I enjoyed your answer, and just extending to that or adding to that is, I mean, customer experience, is the impression that your customers have of your brand as a whole, and throughout, every aspect of that buyer's journey. And some of the common mistakes that I see is the absence of having a lead management strategy. So, simply put, this means that companies don't respond to leads on time, and up to 40% of their leads, are just falling through the cracks, off the back of no follow up or no response. And this results in wasted marketing spend. It results in lost revenue. But really importantly, when it comes to customer experience, I mean, if you think about ourselves and how we operate, is that, only 1 out of 26 customers that you give a bad experience will complain. The sad reality is that the rest of them will just up and leave, share the bad experience, with others. And that is where the damage happens. So, on the positive side is that when I'm speaking to business leaders, at least 70% of them will tell me that customer experience is certainly a focus for them. So they go ahead and hire, a CX head. But customer experience is not just the role of a CX head. To deliver exceptional customer experience, you need to ensure that all your teams that touch a customer, all your products, all your processes are connected in an easy to use front end operational CRM like LeadSquared, I guess, because right now we're operating in a sea of sameness. And so, like Shashi said, customer experience is your best way to stand out from the rest. And I guess at the end of the day, it results in more happy customers, more sales, more revenue. And these are easy things to fix.
Yeah, that's interesting, Chantel. So customer experience essentially is not a one department job. It is a second nature to the organization. Yeah,
Yeah.
understood. So Shachi, I've been following Gupshup closely, and you guys work on multiple channels, right? You reach out to customers via WhatsApp, Instagram, whatnot, right? I want to understand from you, how have the channels changed in the last 6 to 12 months, right? And what role does conversational AI play in delivering delight to customers?
Um,
Fine. So yes, we are a fully omni-channel platform. We support over 30 channels, include voice, include text, SMS, and various IP messaging channels such as WhatsApp, Instagram, RCS, Google Business Messaging, and many more. So, like I said, brands have to meet the customer where the customer is. Historically, again, SMS has been used as a very extensively across Africa. And even today, in terms of sheer volume, SMS continues to be the biggest, the single largest channel of communication for a simple reason that it's universal. Okay, every small phone, every device, mobile phone device, will support SMS. Okay, so it has a better reach. And also because SMS has been in our life for the last 25 years. But SMS comes with some limitations. It's a plain Jane text, 160 characters, non-interactive, one way. And this the biggest thing that we've seen, you're talking about trend, is that in a person-to-person communication, people have moved away from SMS. Nobody sends an SMS to anyone else. Okay. In a person-to-person communication, we all use the IP messaging apps like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and whatnot. Okay. So the same trend we can see in the B2C communication. In business to customer, also the customer prefers to receive the communication, like in the person to person setting. So in the recent years, we've seen a mega shift from SMS to more rich communication channels like WhatsApp and RCS. Just to share with you, data from India. In India, I am told that about 50% of the total messaging traffic has turned conversational, which means there's a shift from SMS towards WhatsApp. Also, Africa is a WhatsApp first market. So I think WhatsApp continues to be the primary, I think the leading channel, because there are about 2 billion people already using WhatsApp. There are about 1.2 billion people using uh, Instagram. There are almost 1 billion people using RCS. And because these channels support rich communication, they support, I mean, you could send an image, you could send a video, and these channels are interactive. And also, the user could initiate a conversation, unlike in SMS, where the conversation essentially or the communication essentially is from brand to customer. Right? This is, even the user has the flexibility of starting this conversation. The second part of your question is about AI. Okay, conversational AI is definitely a game changer, and conversational AI has touched all the aspects of the business cycle. So if we divide a business cycle into three major, segments, let's say pre-purchase, purchase, and post-purchase. Pre-purchase, which is essentially marketing; purchase, which is e-commerce; and post-purchase, which is customer service. So conversational AI has touched all three aspects, right? Right from your lead generation campaign, the product discoveries, your discounts, offers, communication about discounts and offers and loyalty programs and whatnot, right? To actual onboarding of customer, KYCs, okay, and then once the customer has done the purchase or has kind of onboarded himself to use the service, even the post-purchase customer support is, journeys are supported by conversational AI. Conversational AI is touching people's life, both business-wise, of course, in individual communication, But talking strictly about communication between businesses and customer, conversational AI has brought the customer and businesses closer.
Right, understood. You talked about India, Sashi, and I am sitting back here in Mumbai, India, and I can vouch for what you have told me that all the conversation, P2P conversation, has totally moved to WhatsApp. And now businesses are also taking the plunge of interacting with consumers on WhatsApp or other interactive mediums, right?
Yeah.
So it again rolls back to the point that you earlier raised.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time,
So it
Vishal.
again,
Yeah,
yeah,
when I get used to a certain channel, when it becomes a hygiene factor, it becomes a part of the personality. We sometimes jokingly tell in friends that even if somebody wakes up at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night to visit the washroom, he doesn't forget to check the WhatsApp. Okay, such is the impact of WhatsApp in our lives, right?
right. And interestingly, it again rolls back to your earlier point that communication is moving from broadcast to interactive media, and SMS, if you look at it, is more of a broadcast channel, right? Versus WhatsApp, which is more of an interaction between a brand and a consumer. Yeah,
Yes, and also
interesting.
WhatsApp and these conversational AI, because it makes the whole thing real time, right? You could send an email, but that's not real time. You could make a call, but you don't know. I want to make a call to Vishal, or I want to make a call to Central. I don't know whether you are available to take that call or not. But I could send you a message, and we could start a conversation. You could respond at a time of your choosing. So that's what it makes it more user friendly. And we've been talking about CX a lot, and I think we've already agreed on the fact that CX is very, very important. Yeah, moving on.
Right, right. So I also see Tidisho who has joined the panel. Tidisho, give me a heads up if you are ready to face my questions.
Yeah, yeah.
No
Yes,
worries,
I
I'll come
am.
back to you. You are
Yeah, good to
wonderful,
go. Thank
Tidisho.
you.
So I have a question for you. I see that you have reimagined customer experience for Nestle Baby and Me, right? And before we go deeper into how you achieved it, I would want to understand why you started the project, right? What was the background behind, this transformational project that you undertook? Did you see a need for customer improvement, customer experience improvement?
Yeah, so as a Nestle, so hi everyone. My name is Tsidiso Tswaidi. I work for Nestle Nutrition, infant formulas, and infant cereals. So, from a customer experience perspective, we're very limited in terms of what we can and what we can say to the clients. So we rely heavily on user-generated content and on ratings and reviews. So what that has led us to do is to to move on with the times, to innovate in terms of starting to understand the importance of AI in marketing. For example, the WhatsApp chatbot that we've recently launched for Baby and Me. So we're starting to see that within the consumer journey, consumers just don't want to purchase. They actually need to be educated, and not only that, they also need to just get a whole holistic brand experience. So, customer experience from an Nestle perspective, it is now how, if I may put it, it's we've made it a holistic, um, sort of not necessarily a multiverse, but it is now an integrated ecosystem. So the customer experience is not just about point of sale, but we've also considered that despite people being online, which when they're engaging with your WhatsApp, with your SMS, they still purchase offline. So what we've done and decided to do was to leverage the chatbot from a WhatsApp perspective to touch of the funnel, which is where we let consumers know what products we have, where they can get them, and in terms of details like recipes, what those products offer. So what we've seen is with a majority of our market, being on mobile phones, piloting the WhatsApp campaign has seen a lot of consumer engagement. We've seen that, customer experience does not need to involve having to give away incentive. And by that, I mean a lot of consumers in the FMCG platform give away prizes to get engagement, to give customers that experience. But what we've seen is that customers actually want to be educated. They want to immerse themselves in the brand before they can make purchases, because that sort of leads to trust. And just based on that, us automizing by having chats, and also starting to push out marketing to more mobile, we've seen that has enhanced our customer experience, and at the same time, an increase sales conversions, that more consumer buying online because they're not just being bombarded by advertising. Just as sufficient. Thanks.
I see it, Idisha. That's a very interesting insight that you gave us. Although shopping is happening offline, the influence is happening online for the consumer, right? So education or creating awareness of the brand becomes even more important in the online medium in the minds of the consumer. Yeah, is that a fair understanding, Idisha?
Yes, correct. So
Perfect.
basically, what we covered is advertising works, but consumers trust each other. For instance, at Nestle right now, we are limited in perspective to advertise to mothers because of Department of World Health Organizations. We don't want to be positioned as if we don't want people to breastfeed their children. So there are certain things that we can say in our advertisements and certain things we can't. So what we've seen is that when we engage with consumers more at a personal level, which is another benefit that this of the customer experience and optimization and brings. What we've seen is that through that, reviews, customers end up building brand trust. With that, they don't necessarily have to, go into deep dive or research in terms of understanding what the product is about before they make a purchase. Hence why these, where we are right now with our WhatsApp chatbot is, if customers have queries regarding, type of formulas that the kids want to consume, or allergies and anything, we can refer to customer services, or we will have those answers ready for you, or we can maybe send you to links or any other referrals that we've seen. But we've seen it as a very good referral tool, as in from a word of mouth perspective, that when customers review, it does help with your sales.
Got it, Idisha. Understood. That in fact gives me a very good segue to ask my next question to Chantel. Chantel, now that we have established that customers don't necessarily use one single channel of interacting with a brand, of communicating, right? But on the other hand, they demand a consistent customer experience across channels, right? That experience should not be broken for them, right? So, as per you, what is the most effective way to build a strong customer journey?
Yeah, I love this question, Vishal. And again, in many ways, it's something that's really simple to fix. But we've also seen many examples of companies that have gone about, let's say, fixing it in the wrong way. And it can actually just create a really bad experience for a customer if you don't do it correctly. I mean, if you think about it, everybody, in the audience today, ourselves, we all consumers. And I mean, if you just think about the last time you called your bank, or insurance company, because the only option they give you, is to actually call them. So that's, a bad example of not meeting your customer, as Shashi said earlier, where they are, right? Now, to take it to the next level is now you speak to a support agent and you explain your entire situation to them, only for them to respond to you and say, look, I have to transfer you somewhere else because I don't deal with that department, right? So you get transferred to the next agent, and what happens? We've got to repeat our entire situation again. So I think just when it comes to a single channel or that experience being the same, is that, like Shashi said, meet the customer where they are. But really importantly, you're going to have some customers that won't just communicate using WhatsApp. They may use 2 or 3 different online channels to reach out to you. So what's really imperative here is that if you want to make a notable change, is you must enable your agents on the ground, your team, right, that are touching customers, to be able to help your customers on a first call resolution basis. And to do this, you need to have like a single view of your customer where all these communications, irrespective of the channel, are coming into the single place, so that your agents can actually give a customer the experience they expect. And I think where it goes wrong is that we must also, the reality is that the longer a business has been in play, we talk about banks, insurance companies, is that they've got a multitude of legacy systems, and they all hold different pieces of different data sets. So this is where we come in, from a LeadSquared perspective, is that we don't have to interrupt that business. It's just about creating a front office operational single view of your customer, where you can aggregate all these important data sets. And what does that help you do? It helps you communicate with your customers where they are on the channel that they want to be communicated with, but very importantly, helps you, get out of these scenarios where we're just frustrating a customer. And I'll end off by saying, I don't know about you guys, but many bots on a website, you just take a chat bot on somebody's website, right? It's when you implement a bot like that to give your customer a remarkable experience, so many times it goes wrong because the bot just takes your customer in loops. You just keep going around in circles, and what happens is your customer just closes that and leaves, right? So that is why connecting all these channels into a single view of your customer, I believe, is critically important. It's not just about getting another shiny object. How's it going to talk to everything else we have about this customer?
I see. Single view of a customer. That sounds interesting, Chantal. And if I visualize it, uh, it really essentially solves my needs to interact well with the customer, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Got it. So I intend to ask my next question to TD Show. Now, TD Show, that we have established what was the background behind you taking up the transformation journey for customer experience in your organization. I want to understand, how is it that you delivered the outcomes? What were the technological tools that you used in your customer transformation journey? What is your story?
Okay, so as you know, a website consists of a whole lot of components, right? Like I've mentioned before. So we now stepped into automation, where we're working with Meta, with the WhatsApp. That's one of the technologies that we are leveraging this year, that we're piloting, which is the chatbot for Baby and Me. What we've also looking at doing right now is what you call smart listening. And by smart listening is sort of it's a content syndication platform where we pull our products from our different customers, and they appear on our website. So that means that for as a customer, if you prefer to shop maybe at an Amazon or at a Walmart you have a choice. So not only that too, but we've also utilizing engines like your rating and reviews engines for your UC biller, in terms of where the customers can do a star rating and leave a comment. And we've also doing a buy now exercise where consumers can actually buy from our website, but converting on the online retailer. Another technology that we're leveraging, but that we've seen since COVID, especially, that a lot of people are using was geolocation, in terms of offline geolocation stores. Since COVID has stopped, we've seen that a lot of consumers actually miss that experience of going in stores. So we've installed a few geolocation components into our website. So we've got automated responses, we've got rating reviews, we've got polls, and we've also got what you call nutritional tools. For instance, since we sell infant formula and you want to track your infant's growth, there's a tool that you can log on to, register, and you can engage. So every time your child grows a few centimeters, you can just log on to the tool, and then it becomes a whole CRM sort of ecosystem. We now engage with you based on that. So there's a lot of technologies that you can leverage in terms of from a CX experience, but from a cost effectiveness and from a you getting your return on investment, the WhatsApp and Meta approach is the most cost effective and the cheapest way we've seen so far. Because from us, SMS costs 3 times more than a normal, which is what we call it. It says
I think there is some network issue at Tidisho's end. No problem. What I think he was trying to say is they are consistently building their customer profiles in their CRM, in their database. And basis that they are reaching out to their customer in a more personalized, more contextual manner, right? So yeah, that is a very good insight that Tidisho gave us. I think he's back. Yeah,
Yes,
Tidisho.
yes. So just based on, especially since there's a lot of channels, as I said, consumers, we use different components to buy, we use different components for locating stores, etc. What we've seen with WhatsApp is, especially with the offerings, the push notifications, the e-commerce components, is that there is so much more to do within that one channel from a consumer experience and engagement, compared to having a whole lot of siloed components and trying to do the same thing. So what this customer experience sort of pilot has led us to discover is that we are going to scale down in terms of the amounts of components and technologies we're using, and simplify to make sure that everything is seamless. And as I said, if we go in the WhatsApp route, in a period of 2 weeks, we saw 3,000 full registrations without any incentives, giving away prizes or asking consumers to do a lot of stuff. And usually, let me say, in December last year, we would collect 800 registrations, but we'd have to give away around $1,000 for that. So return on investment is very key on advertising investment. And what we've seen is that just with this pilot that we've run for Baby and Me, just for asking parents to download a simple PDF, we're killing 2 birds at the same time. We are making consumers register. At the same time, we're giving product awareness about what we have. And at the same time, it's also educational. And it's also good that we can also embed video content, which is going to be the next phase of what we're doing. So yeah, more or less, think automation and AI and chatbots have sort of simplified marketing to a point where it's more or less about how you target, what you're sending out, and how you're sending it out. Just as sufficient text.
Got it, Shirisho. So my next question is actually to the technologist, Shashi and Chantel here. So now that we have established that customer experience is the go-to thing that we have to, provide to our customers, and all that is fine, right? You can do it for few of your customers. That is understandable. But then how do you scale it? I understand you do it via automation, but what is that? Where do you say that okay, here technology stops and here a human intervention is required? What is that point, or what according to you should be automated and what should be left out for the human intervention? So Shashi, you can please go first on this.
Okay, thanks. I like this question. Yeah, because I think right from the school days we've been asked this question: science versus human, technology versus. Let me just say this: automation by definition means improving efficiency and reducing costs. That's the real definition of automation. And automation and personalization are not contradictory terms. In fact, I would say they're complementary. So the key is to automate with a touch of personalization. Okay. So I would not draw a distinction, okay, where technology stops, where human intervention comes, etc., etc. I mean, they go parallel. But my suggestion would be when we have to think of ways and means of automizing things without losing personalization. Okay, I'll just elaborate this with a very small example. There's a customer of ours in a leading brand of online healthcare and medical products. Like now, they needed a virtual sales assistant, which means anybody coming to their portal can needs help to discover the product. And because these are healthcare products, obviously the customer needs to know technical details. So just in the benefit of time, I'll very quickly sum it up and say, okay, we customize product search, NLP enabled conversations. The bot can intuitively understand the requirement and suggest a product. Okay, this is automation. This is the level of automation without losing the touch of personalization. Okay. So that's the real definition of automation to me.
Got it. Over to you, Chantel. What is your take on this?
Yeah, I agree with Shashi. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's both. Especially, if you consider the reality in Africa is that, yeah, we are mobile first, continent, but we still have to find that balance between, let's call it the digital reality. But I think, this sounds really, really simple, but when it comes to understanding up where do we bring people in and where do we stop automation and where do we bring in the human element, is that talk to your customers. They'll tell you what they dislike about their experience with you. A simple example is I don't know how many people in the audience today can honestly say that they love going into a banking branch to go and do their KYC process. I mean, I can't think of anything worse. But that's a good example of something that you could automate. So I'd be more than happy and delighted if I could just do that over WhatsApp, right? But when it comes to me getting advice about, maybe making an investment, that's where I actually want to talk to somebody, if that makes sense. So automation doesn't mean no people. And I think this is, a misconception out in the market. It does mean bringing in your people into the processes at the right time, where they can be contributing to high value tasks rather than, getting caught up in repetitive, mundane tasks. So let automation take care of those repetitive tasks that do not need human input. But it certainly is a combination of both human and automation, and listening to what your customers dislike about the experience with you.
That's a fair point. I think you can't really, distinguish between where technology, the role of technology ends and where does personalization come in. But yeah, I totally agree with your point, Chantel, that whatever basic regular tasks that are there, if those can be automated, and wherever subjectivity is involved, wherever you know somebody listening to you and handing out advice is required, that is where a human should step in. So
If I may add
it's
one
both a
line here,
combination.
see, mindless automation can't be automation. Okay.
Right.
Automation, has to, you know, the need of automation has to come from customer aspirations. If the customer wants it, we automate it. Okay, we do not kind of burden the customer with unnecessary automations.
Got it. Understood. Now that we are at the subject of automation, technology, as well as human intervention, I think this is a good segue for me to ask Shashi. Shashi, you have worked in multiple geographies over the course of your career, right?
Yeah.
So, how do cultural differences impact the customer experiences in global market?
Okay, so I'll tell you. Firstly, we have to differentiate the markets between the uh, developed economies of the West and developing economies in the rest of the world. Okay. So if you see the journey in the developed economies has been pretty linear, right? In terms of communication, I would say. So first is person-to-person communication, then was the letter, then was email, then was websites, then there were mobile apps, so on and so forth. But if you look at the developing economies like ourselves and Africa and everyone, what happens starting from, let's say, 2010, etc., right? When the mobile phones started emerging, and it was more or less established that mobile phone is the primary device of communication, suddenly there was a problem. Okay. Suddenly, in the developing economies, we all started using smartphones as the, like I said, as the primary device of communication, and therefore we did not take the same path. Okay. The growing economies did not take the same path in communication journey. Like, for example, I can give you another example. Not many people in Africa would have used a voicemail. Okay. Or not many people in the developing economies would have used the pager. There's been a probably there's been a jump. Okay. So the difference essentially is uh, on availability of technology, on the cost of what kind of technology and what cost can the customer pay, also what cost the business is willing to pay. Based on that, I would say, and I would speak strictly in context with Africa, that Africa is actually emerging as a smartphone communication or in-app communication market.
Got it, Shashi. Shidisho, are you there? Shall I ask you another question? I am keen on knowing what are the metrics
Yes.
that you track. Yeah, what are the metrics that you track to measure customer success or customer experience in your organization? What were the results of your transformation
Uh,
essentially? What metrics did you measure against it?
okay. So um, I started play in 2021 in March. When I started at the company, um, data acquisition was an issue. Acquiring the consumer data so that we can have the consumers to engage with. So we managed to acquire. Acquisition was one of our key KPIs. So you need to have 10,000 people registering to your website via the registration form. You need this target registering to your mobile phone, and you also need people registering at events. For instance, since COVID has opened up, we have various measures and matrix depending on your brand objective. For instance, if my brand is doing well from an awareness perspective and it's a top of mind of consumers, my focus will be to push out sales, which is please buy now. We've got this promotion going, etc. So the KPIs vary depending on objectives. If a brand is not getting enough visibility online in terms of reach, or we are launching a new brand and people do not know about it, Our whole customer experience strategy around that would be around, awareness and how that will be done on the website. So I would say that, but just based on the ratings and reviews campaign from Mike, the Nido customer experience test that we did, we did pretty well. The Nido website had 0 reviews, customer reviews, in terms of parents letting us know what they think about the infant formula. We ran a 1-month campaign where we told parents, please rate us, but this time we were giving incentive. You could win a shopping voucher, for instance, $10. Within 3 weeks, we saw over 183 reviews of the product, and not only reviews, but comments about taste, things that we received insight that we did not even ask for. So I would say that from a KPI's perspective, it varies. If your brand wants to sell, you can customize your customer experience and your user experience on your website, your app, or your platform on social media to serve that purpose. But that has to be supported by messaging. And so, so it's acquisition, sales conversions, and retaining. And once you retain, we now resell, just to keep the consumer funnel going. So like I said, it varies on objectives. And with the pilot that we launched with Baby and Me Nestle for the WhatsApp chatbot was to see if the South Africa market will resonate in terms of awareness. Do they know about this brand? But Nido is very famous here, hence, we received 3,000 downloads. So I would say that depending on what you want to achieve for your particular brand, you can set different KPIs and measures. And also considering that all of that has to fall under your customer relationship management, your CRM program. And then, hence you'll send out emails. You'll see how many people open those emails. For instance, with the WhatsApp analytics now, you're going to see how many people downloaded those out of those registrations, how many of those are open, etc. So measures vary depending on brand actives and on what the business wants for that particular customer or experience. Just that sufficient.
Understood. So basically, your KPI depends on what objective or what you are trying to measure from the customer experience. Yeah, that sounds logical, Sriisho. So yeah, my next question is what I would like to call, quote unquote, the predictions. So what do you see? What are the things that are going to impact customer experience drastically in the next, let us say, an year or so? Give me the answer in 5 words. Shashi, you can go first.
Okay, so
I think what customers want. Oh, sorry.
All right. Yes. Okay, you want me to speak? Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think CX is 2 words: predictive and precise. But because you're allowing me 5 words, I would say predictive and precise, tied to customer aspirations.
Lovely, fantastic. Predictive and precise, tied to customer expectations. Yeah,
Yep.
that sounds fantastic. Shidisha, what about you? How would you summarize the predictions in 5 words?
Me, I would say just quick responsiveness is key. Quick responsiveness, and understanding that you're not alone. For instance, we have a lot of bots and spam and things like that online. But I'd say customers appreciate being listened to, being responsive, giving relevant information to the customers, and also just let them know that, hey, we are not just here to take your money, but you are part of, our brand experience. So I would say that for me, being responsive is what customers in our market have been appreciating the most with these new channels and, with going into the future.
So yeah, if I were to summarize in 5 words, this is probably quick and contextual responsiveness is key. Yeah, perfect, Shidisha.
Yeah, quick contextual responsiveness, and yeah, just that swiftness and that engagement.
Perfect. Chantal, what about you? What are your 5 words?
I don't know. I don't
Bring
know
us to a
about the
close with that.
5 words, Michelle. Yeah, I don't know if I can do it in 5 words, but I think I'll probably put at the top of the list to say leverage your customer intelligence data. There's so much that value that sits there. And secondly, connect your people in the teams who touch your customer throughout the buying process and enable them to give your customers a remarkable experience. Because for all of us who have ever helped a customer and they've gotten off the phone with us or left our company feeling delighted with the experience, getting good feedback from a customer makes your employees happy too. So, sorry, it's not 5 words, but that's what I would add on to what the two gentlemen have said already.
Lovely, Chantal. Perfect. That actually brings me to a close of my questions. Uh, it's been a lovely discussion for me personally. Kartika, over to you. Do we have any questions from the audience? I think the panel would love to field those.
Yeah, I actually don't see any questions coming in from the audience yet. So, in case if you have any questions, please do let us know. You can put it up on the questions tab or even the chat tab. We would love to take them up. Otherwise, if you have any questions, I mean, the recording is available. So, soon after this webinar is over, you can watch the replay of the recording, or we will also send it to you over an email. So if you have any questions during that time, you can definitely reach out to us. Or if you want to get in touch with any of our speakers or even LeadSquared or Gupshop as platforms, you can definitely let us know about that as well. We would love to, answer your questions and also get in touch with you. Saying that, yes, I still don't see any questions coming in actually. But I would like to ask Vishal, after the whole discussion today, is there anything that you want to add? Because I know that you came in as a moderator, but you're going back with a lot of knowledge. So if you'd like to say something, I would love to hear that.
Oh, absolutely, Kartika. I came in with a bunch of questions. I think those have been answered to, what do I say, to perfection. I am taking a key takeaway from this discussion that speed, contextual messaging, and being where the customer is matters a lot in customer experience, right? So these are my key takeaways from this discussion.
For sure. And I think that the audience agrees with you as well because I see a lot of thumbs ups and reactions coming in. So I think with that, we can maybe close the session as well. Okay, we actually have a question from Mr. Magdi. I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. They ask, what are the key challenges facing B2B businesses in order to leverage engagement, and what will be the key trends to overcome these challenge gap? Mr. Shashi, Chantel, or Tidisho, if you'd like to take that.
Maybe I can try my hand at this. So I think as long as the memory goes, the two biggest challenges have been in B2B business is one about visibility, cutting the clutter, and second is about ROI. Okay, so in B2B business, the businesses always struggle to kind of adopt to the channel and means by which their CAC, the customer acquisition cost, can be minimized and the visibility, could be improved. So I think that has been one of the major challenges, and we have now recently Gupshop has launched a solution called CTWA, Click to WhatsApp. So basically, what we do is any display ad on any social media platform or digital media platform, we give you a WhatsApp button, you click to it, and we give you a full flowing conversation, at the end of it. Because the biggest challenge with these display ads is what is the call for action? What I see the ad, right? I'm a viewer. Okay, the brand can be happy. Okay, my display ad was seen by 10,000 people, but did they take any action? Here, if you click and I am taken, if I click and I'm taken to a WhatsApp window where I can complete a whole conversation and even register, log in, onboard, do whatever I.
Wonderfully answered.
I have another.
Yes, of course, Tishita, please.
Yeah. In South Africa, So for Nestle Nutrition, we have we advertised to parents with kids age 1 to 3 years old because they're not medical professionals. So from a B2B perspective, what I think the challenge is the lack of social channels, because if you think B2B as a marketer, the first social channel you think of is LinkedIn. What competition does LinkedIn have? Are there any other channels that you can advertise on as a business for Facebook that sort of challenge that LinkedIn space? Because LinkedIn at the moment is the only platform that people deem is B2B, the B2B advertising platform. And I think if Meta and all Google and all these other companies would give more visibility about the offerings that they have in B2B packages, we should see more reach and more B2B engagement increase. But the main most B2B companies just investing a lot in LinkedIn has led to sort of ad fatigue, and it's sort of known as the B2B platform to advertise. And I think that LinkedIn had to have some more challenging platforms that will be introduced for B2B. We should see some engagement. For instance, when Snapchat came, TikTok was already launched, So from a B2C side, you could see a lot of speed and innovation in development in technologies. But from a B2B side, since I think it's considered it's corporate, it's very, mostly it's finance, mostly like Chantel talked about insurance. How do we make that time instead of, because if you start speaking finance on Facebook, people will associate that with fraud or something of that sort. So I think it's a lack of social channels to engage, and more than anything, also the existing big companies, Meta, Google, not letting the B2B companies know what offerings they have, because they do have a lot of those that consumers can know about. Thanks.
Rightly put. Thank you for the answer. And Chantel, if you'd like to add something to that, or
No, I was just smiling because it's how life has changed. I think probably just before the start of COVID, you used to, well, for myself at least, before, if I didn't know Shashi as well as I do now, I'd probably think twice before sending him a WhatsApp, because we're not friends yet. I would send him an SMS, because it's not that personal. Now, and especially in Africa, I mean, we WhatsApp each other all day long, and it doesn't stop. I mean, I get Facebook messages for business purposes. It's all over the place, and I was just smiling, wondering, it would be great if we could get to a point where we all have one place where everything flows into, because you're constantly checking a multitude of platforms, because it's just business happens everywhere now. Yeah.
true. Yeah.
That's from my side.
What has changed, Chantel, from pre-COVID to post-COVID on WhatsApp? You can now send WhatsApp messages without saving the other person's number. So WhatsApp is also, innovating to remove friction and ensuring better customer experience.
Yes.
So that is why you are not, hesitant in reaching out to Shashi, even if you don't know him or have his number saved on your mobile.
Yeah.
But I'm very sure Chantel has my
And
number.
also,
I do, for sure.
and also the disappearing messages has done a lot too, from a privacy perspective too. It's the privacy side of things a lot. Because when you back up your stuff and you have sensitive information, when you back up in your cloud, if your message disappeared, I don't think you'll get those in the cloud. So like I said, it's all about just how everything just is and visibility. And then when people know about things, people engage, and that's basically that. But different customers need different messaging and different platforms. And as Chantel said, mobile is big here in Africa. In Kenya, the SMS banking is the biggest thing going on with M-Pesa, and that was almost 10 years ago. So if you think now where that technology is with the banking apps, you could just see that every day there's something new going on. Customers continue to also be alerted about these for so that and they can leverage on these things. Yeah.
Of course. I think that is the end of our questions as well. But like I said before to the audience again, if you have any more questions, please do send them our way. We would love to take them up. But considering the fact that we've also crossed our time limit for the session, I would like to close the session here as well. But it was a wonderful discussion. I definitely am going away with a lot of takeaways. So thank you so much to all our speakers for taking the time out and coming and joining us today. Thank you for educating us. I would actually rightly put it like that. And of course, Vishal for moderating the session so wonderfully. And of course, to the audience and also the organizing team of Gupshup and LeadSquared. Thank you so much for making this webinar happen. And I'm hoping that we have so many more sessions coming up in the future. So with that, I think we have come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good connection. Bye-bye.